Hi, my loves, and welcome to Jennifer's Open Book, where we don't believe in filters. Today, we are discussing mental health. Um, Before I get to that, if you guys have not subscribed to this channel, hit your subscribe button, like this video, share this video. I'm sure something's going to be said that somebody needs to hear. Leave comments and let me know what you think of this video, and go check out some of my other videos and let me know what you think. Everything that you guys do is really helpful, and I appreciate your support. I have my computer up, you guys, so you guys are going to see me kind of go back and forth between you and my computer, because I'm going to try to read some of your comments if you are leaving comments, or if you guys have any questions today. We're going to see if this works out. But today we have a counselor with us, and we're going to be talking about mental health. This is the last day of September. It is September 30th, and September is Suicide Prevention Month. I have not touched on this one time this month, um, for a number of reasons, but I wanted to have a professional come on and discuss this with me. We have, first of all, hi, Angel.
Hey,
How are you today?
I am doing pretty well. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so glad you were able to join us. I know that you're busy.
Mhm.
Um, so I have personally been hearing about so many suicides um this year alone.
Yes,
And
me too.
there are people people that I wouldn't even think would commit suicide. There's been a lot of celebrity suicides as well over the past year.
Hmm.
Um, and like, everybody knows what's going on in the world. Things were hard for people before, but this year has just, I'm so over 2020.
I know what you're
Next year
saying.
has to be better.
Yeah,
um,
yes.
so it's really, really bad out here. And what's strange to me is that the number of suicides that have gone up amongst people of color. I remember when I was younger, that was really unheard of. We
Hmm.
struggled through everything because that's what we were bred to do. That's what we did. We pressed through it and made it work. And now it's kind of like people can't take it. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health. I don't know exactly where to start because it's just so much.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take it for a little bit.
Okay. Okay. So, as you mentioned, this month, and specifically, there is a day was September 10th. That was World Suicide Prevention Awareness Day. I think I just slipped the awareness in there. I think it's actually just the World Suicide Prevention Day, and there's a lot of information. This day was put on by the International Association for Suicide Prevention. So that is a website. If you wanted to refer to that, you can Google that. There's a lot of information on that website, and but suicide is can be a hard topic, and sometimes people avoid it. You know, sometimes people are afraid to say the wrong thing, or to maybe even, if some people worry that if they bring suicide up when they maybe suspect that somebody is feeling really down, that they are going to push them there, and that's a myth. And it's really important when we hear somebody, or we even get an idea, or if it pops in your head that somebody that you know could be in danger. um, there's there's several things that we can do to help with that. But the biggest thing is to reach out to them and spend time, maybe um, talking with them non-judgmentally. That's important, because when a person is suffering, when a person is down, it's a real deep pain. And you don't understand, and you cannot even understand unless you have experienced it yourself. Um, so to be aware that this person that you are talking with is going through something that you don't understand, and to acknowledge that you are ignorant in that situation. And if you can be open and talk to them, or let them talk to you in a non-judgmental, and even if you just sit there and just let them talk and just give them active feedback. Really? Oh, wow, that sounds awful. Or, oh, wow, that must be really painful. Those kind of words, and just give them, 20 minutes of your time. That could be the tipping point for them. That could be a moment where they decide, oh, maybe there is people out there that care for me. So, um, a lot of times our society, like you mentioned, people of color, you said in the past, didn't seem to struggle with suicide. What I think was happening is that a lot of times it's shameful in a lot of cultures, so it's hidden a lot. Um, you might see people's description of cause of death as unknown or something like that. It's it's a lot of people are ashamed. Some people don't share that maybe a family member has died from suicide, and I believe that was one of the reasons why this World Suicide Prevention Day was created, so we can talk more about it and normalize it more, and validate that a person could be struggling and we can't do anything about it, and to own that you are
And
powerless. Yeah.
just let me interject really quickly in
Mm-hmm.
here. When we're talking about people of color, now I don't know. I only know the people that I've been around that I've talked to, so I don't want to generalize. But I have
Right. Right.
noticed amongst people of color, when
Mm-hmm.
there is mental illness in the family, a lot of times the family will say something like, "Oh, he or she is playing crazy. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with them." Or there was an experience that I had not too long ago where I was I had a friend who's schizophrenic, and he just went blind um, because of the schizophrenia. He tried to
Mm-hmm.
pull his eyes out,
Oh,
and
wow.
he was adopted by this
Mm-hmm.
family, and his mom seemed like his mom, and I'm saying this because I talked to his mom. She always got on the phone with me. The lady who adopted him sounded like she had some mental issues as
Yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually suggested, I didn't, what I suggested was, because she was kind of complaining about having to stop her life to deal with him, is that they
Mm-hmm.
go as a family to seek counseling. And
Yeah, good job.
she went off on me like I cussed this lady out.
Uh-oh.
She said, "You act like I can't take care of my son." And she said
Mm,
this, and I'm gonna
yeah.
say now this bothered me. She
Yeah.
said, "That's our problems. We're always trying to get white folks involved in our business instead of
Mm-hmm.
handling our own
Mm-hmm.
business." And
Mm-hmm.
see, that upset me. And I said, "No, our problem." This is what I told her, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any filters.
Mhm.
I told her, no, what our problem is, we don't seek help when we need it. And
Yeah.
and all that happens is that it gets worse, and something happens like a suicide or a murder suicide, because you have
Mhm.
somebody mentally ill with you, and they don't know what they're doing. They're not mentally there. And at the end of the day, it could have been prevented if you would have sought help. And there
Right.
are not just Caucasians who are counselors and
That's right.
psychiatrists and psychologists. There are plenty of people your same race, your same ethnicity, whatever, that you can go to. It doesn't and
Right.
it's not a color thing, but some people might feel more comfortable talking to somebody who
Of
might be
course.
from where they're from. I can
Right.
understand that.
Right.
But this woman was 65 years old, and it bothered me
Mhm.
because she was that old and that ignorant. You know what I
It
mean?
Yeah, it sounds like she, even though you didn't mean it that way, you were trying to help her. It sounded like she was feeling like you were judging her, right?
Yeah,
So
and that's what it was. She felt like I was
yeah,
judging her.
judging her mother, how she's taking care of her situation. And that's what I mean by sometimes, even though, I mean, I do this myself with my kids, and I'm really trying to work on it. But it's like sometimes when you think you're trying to do good, and it's perceived in a way that's very defensive, that's when that active listening comes in. So in that case, and I, like I said, I know you meant well, but she probably just wanted to vent, right? and
Hmm.
and I think if you, and it's hard to think about these things in the moment, because you really want, your heart is hurting for this person, you want to try to figure out how you can help them. um but I think in a lot of situations it's hard to, I'm telling you, I'm really guilty of this, to not, try to offer something to them. But I know that if we can practice, like, just listening sometimes, I think that could go a long way. Believe me, that's
And
one of my.
I've been on that side of it too. I
Yeah, yeah.
met a girl. She was bipolar, and
Hmm.
she woke up one morning and she just could not stop crying. And everyone around her was just kind of staying away from her, and they're like, "What is wrong with this girl?" And I went to her room and I just like held her and let her cry.
Oh wow,
and
that's
and
great.
all she could say was, she just said it hurts so bad inside.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "There's nothing wrong, I'm just in so much pain right now." And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, when I say this was the worst cry I've ever experienced, she was
Mm-hmm.
sweating and just, it was a really
Wow.
hard shaking my body while her body is shaking,
Yeah,
crying.
yeah.
And all I could do was just hold her until she cried herself out, and she eventually just kind of fell asleep. And
Mm-hmm.
that was what, and she told me later on, she was like, "Thank you. I really needed that. I took my
Yeah.
meds. I feel better. I'm glad that you didn't try to, you know, talk." She said, "I'm glad that you didn't try to talk to me, because there's
Uh-huh.
nothing that you could have said to make me feel better." So sometimes it is, but
Right.
the whole me offering counseling was, I
Yeah.
talked to this lady so many times,
Mm-hmm.
and she just kind of went off every time I talked to her, and I was just like, I mean, all I could do is
Yeah.
suggest that you talk to a professional, because
Mm-hmm.
I can't help you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And as far as the soliciting or wanting to find, there that is there is a smaller percentage of people of color in the counseling field. That is definitely true. But there are, like you said, there are people of color out there. I'm on groups with them. You might have to ask around and look for people that are in your culture, whether it's, people of color, whether it's people from a different country, or whether it's LGBTQ. Um, people with disabilities, or people who understand disability, they're out there. You just have to interview people, and you have to talk to them, and usually people give free consultations, like 15-10 minutes. If you have some questions, you can call them and ask. You have your questions ready. A lot of times they'll be willing to answer them. You can get an idea if that's a good fit for you.
Hmm.
um, yeah, so not being afraid to if somebody comes to you and is in pain, like the girl you were talking about, you can say you did a really good job in that situation. But some words that you can use is, what can I do to help? How can I support you? um, and sometimes they will say, I don't know, or sometimes they'll just say, I just want you to listen, or I just want to vent, or I need resources, I need ideas. But like I said, that takes practice, and that's a skill that, you know, I am still working on myself in my personal life. Um, I was going to say, a lot of people, you mentioned something earlier about people, the woman you were talking about, and something about, they were saying he was crazy, or what did you say?
No, oh, not that particular woman, but a lot of
Okay,
people, like when they have, when somebody is mentally ill and they're
yes,
showing sign of mental illness, they'll say
yes,
things like, "Oh, he or she's playing crazy. There's nothing wrong with him."
yeah,
And later on, they find out that this person was schizophrenic or bipolar, which bipolar is like a really big thing,
Right.
and that a lot of people don't understand. They can go from 0 to 100 so quickly, with
Right.
bipolar, and I've experienced that. I've been around people, and I've
Mm-hmm.
seen somebody kind of just like laying around depressed, and then boom, they jump up and they clean up the house, or all over the
Mm-hmm.
place. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a big thing. But people, that's very common. People,
Mm-hmm.
for people to say, "Oh, he or she's just playing
It is.
crazy," and then
It's
something
true.
awful happens.
Or people will say, "Oh, they're just looking for attention. They just want
Yes.
people to feel sorry for them." And I that is very damaging. That is very, very damaging to people. That could be a tipping point. If that person heard you or heard that you said that. But not to say that could be a tipping point, but to make someone feel guilty, but just to encourage us to watch what we're saying, because again, we do not understand, we don't know what's going on with that person. Like you're saying, they could have some untreated mental condition, that or they could be off their meds, they could have some traumatic thing that's happened in their life. Maybe in their perspective something traumatic has happened, we don't know. So the best practice is to reach out and say, hey, what's going on with you? Do you want to talk, or is there anything I can do to support you? I think that's the most compassionate, humane thing we can do for another human being, right? In all these times, all of us are suffering, with the pandemic, with some people with food needs, some people with finances. Even before the pandemic really got on its way, I learned about 10 people that had committed suicide in the first 2 months of this year. You know, I don't know what's happening, but this is a crazy year. And so the least we can do is reach out to people and be there, when we can. Um, which brings me to self care. You have to make sure
Mhm.
you're taking care of yourself. Um, Make sure that you are taking time for yourself. You're decompressing. You have a happy place that you go to. Give yourself breaks, because you can't be there for others if you are not in a good place, right? So
Right.
yeah, so taking care of yourself is very important, and reaching out to others when you can, and give a few minutes of your time to that person. That could be their lifeline. I did write a few notes, so let me just see. um, just I just want to say, just a couple of warning signs that maybe you can look for. I mean, if you know a person and you can tell that there's something different happening with them, maybe they are seeming hopeless, rage, they're raging a lot, they're just really angry, seeking revenge, um, risky activities, just very low, sleeping a lot or not sleeping at all. A lot of those could be warning signs. Another warning sign is saying goodbye to people in their lives, giving away things that are really important to them. Those could be signs. So if you experience that with someone, reach out, just say, hey, what's going on here? I noticed
Mhm.
I noticed you gave away your favorite guitar. Like, what's happening? And maybe just sit down and just be present for them for 5-10 minutes. Um, you did really good with the resources. Having some resources that you can point people to is a really good idea. What was I going to say? There was some other. Yeah. Some people just want to talk. Some people just want to know that they're not alone.
Mhm.
Um, so
And like you said before, some people just kind of just want you to be. I'm always there with a cookie and a hug. If that's, I'm always there for that. I have suffered ser- serious depression, really
Mhm.
really bad depression, And I'll probably tell that story next year. But I because this is the last day, and I kind of like I kept putting it off, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to put this out there, but I was going through a serious bout of depression in my life.
Hmm.
And my mom, she didn't know any better, and it's like it's good that we're talking about this now. But she'll say, "Oh, when you're feeling depressed, watch something funny or read a book that makes you smile or
Hmm.
something like that."
Hmm.
And that did not help for her to
That's
even
way
say that. It
beyond
was
that.
just like
Yeah.
that didn't, for you to even say that is kind of, it seems like she was brushing it off, and that's not what she was doing. She just didn't know what
Yeah.
to
She,
say or
she
what
was
to
trying to
do
be
at the
helpful.
time.
Yeah.
And what saved me was the first thing that saved me was my spirituality. Okay,
Hmm.
I am a
Hmm.
strong believer in God. Everybody who sees me on my channel knows I am a strong believer in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And God saved me, and then God sent me my daughter. And
Awesome.
she saved
Yeah.
me. So
It's a
there,
gift.
so I had to pray. I prayed through my depression, and that kept me here. It kept me
Hmm.
from leaving this place. And also, my grandfather told me, I will never forget. And I didn't tell him that I was considering suicide or
Mm.
anything. I told him that I wasn't feeling well. And he
Hmm.
said, "Baby, I just want you to think about this." He says, "Suicide is a permanent solution to a short term problem."
Wow.
And like
That's awesome.
I kept that with me forever. I keep that with me because,
Hmm.
he's right. Whatever is going on in your life, you can work through it. It doesn't last forever. You can,
Hmm.
and once you get through that, you come out stronger on the other side, and you're ready for the next problem because problems
Yeah.
don't go away. As long as we live, we're gonna have, it's not gonna be all rainbows and butterflies. We wish that it could be that way, but I mean, even for people who you think have it all. I mentioned
Right.
celebrity suicides earlier, and some people think, oh, what kind of problems do rich people have? They have mental problems. They have
Yeah. They
problems.
have all the problems we have.
Yeah, and theirs might be magnified because
Hmm.
you know they have
They have to put an
mental,
image. They have to keep up with
right.
their image. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's real. It's always gonna be something. It's how you deal with it, how you handle it.
So depression, yes, can be what you're talking about right now, kind of more of a temporary state. There is a chemical imbalance that does happen for some people that's not as permanent, and usually can be treated with medication. So maybe that wasn't your situation, but it is out there, and I just wanted to acknowledge that for people who are experiencing that type of depression. Um, it can be a lifelong uh, struggle for some people.
Yes, it's something
Yeah,
that I still personally
yeah,
struggle with, and
yeah.
but like I have like a God helps me through all of it. If I ever feel
Right,
like my spirituality is not helping me through it, then I'm sure I could use a pill. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm sure
right, right, right.
I'm sure that I can use a pill, but I haven't felt bad enough to. I feel like I need to go. I talked to my doctor about it once, which was really weird. And it was um after I got some new birth control, and I was talking to him about it, and
Hmm.
he said, "Well, it might be your birth control. Give it about 3 months." He said, "I
Hmm.
want you to start exercising 30 minutes a day,
Hmm.
um, and then come back in a couple of months." He said, "Because I don't want to give you meds. I don't want to put you on meds."
Yeah, yeah.
So, I was like, okay, well, that's his answer for it. And it didn't go away, but it's not as intense as it was. And I keep myself busy. I have
Hmm.
ways of dealing with it. And that's
Yeah.
me. I'm sound enough to find ways to deal with it. But
Hmm.
some people are
Right,
bad enough that they cannot handle it. They just can't handle it. They
right.
don't see any way out. They don't see any light. And those are the people that you need to be aware of. And like you said, listen when they need you to listen.
Hmm.
If you don't, let me say this, and then I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay.
If you don't know what to say, don't say anything
Yes.
because because searching for some people feel like they just have to say something,
Right,
and
right. Yeah.
it's all wrong what you say. So if you don't know what to say, don't say anything. Just hold that person, and
Yeah,
like you said,
it's true.
ask them what you can do to make things better for them.
Or to support them, yeah. Or yeah, that's like the golden rule that I hope one day to get better and better, to remember to do in times where someone is struggling. It's hard because everybody, wants to help people and or wants to offer something to somebody that you see is in pain. And it can be hard to remember to step back and say nothing, or just to say, what can I do to support you? I'm glad you brought up the spiritual thing, because for you, that is your hope, that is your lifeline, and that's what I was talking about earlier, is to find something that you use, that you take care of yourself with. And usually people who are struggling and eventually might choose suicide, um, is they don't have hope anymore. So studies show that people who have a spiritual practice tend to be more hopeful. Um, yeah, I'm hearing my dog whining, and I'm wondering what's happening.
Oh,
Sorry, I got a little distracted there, but yes. So a spiritual practice could be very important for some people, and then praying and studying and talking to God is very important. I actually just recently started talking to God again. I haven't prayed very often in a long time, and this past week I think I prayed like 4 times, which is a record for me recently. I'm more spiritual than religious, but yeah. So I
and that's just
there's
one thing, because some people are not. They're not spiritual. They're not. I'm not religious.
Mhm,
There's actually a
mhm.
big difference. But
Yeah,
there are some people who don't. You have to find something though. You have to find something to believe
yeah,
in, something that you're anchored to.
it's true. Um, there's a lot of resources that I think we are going to put in the comments. Um, there's also the website that I mentioned earlier, the International Association for Suicide Prevention. There's a lot of campaigns. There's a lot of campaigns. There's a lot of um, brochures. There's all kind of educational stuff on that website that you can use, you can share. There's a website. I mean, sorry, there's a video on there that I did not look at, but I know that there's a lot of resources on there if people are looking for resources. And we can put some in the comments. And yeah, just reach out to people, talk to your colleague, talk to somebody you feel comfortable with, somebody that has um, at some point in the past showed you kindness. Maybe you feel safe with that person. Reach out to them and say, hey, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you for a minute? I'm not feeling good. um, or I need some help. It's okay to reach out. I would say most of us have struggled with feeling down and depressed and hopeless at some point in our lives, um, and it's not a shameful thing. It's something that we can help each other with. But a lot of times, people won't know that you need help unless you ask too. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to see if we have any comments. No, we don't. So, like you said, we're gonna once we're done with this video, I'm gonna post some resources in the comments. If you guys, if anybody needs that, you can do that without anybody knowing that you're doing it, because things need to be done anonymously. Um, if you all have, if you know what, let me ask you this. if anyone
Mhm,
has like general questions for you, because I know this is what you do for a living and everything, is there
mhm.
any, would you like for anyone to like reach out to you maybe on Facebook or anything like that? Just, with a
Um,
couple of questions.
yeah, so you can email me at angelraycounseling.com if you have any questions or you need resources and that kind of thing. I can't do counseling, of course, over email and that kind of thing. Plus, I'm only licensed to do counseling in the state of Oregon. Um, so I wouldn't be able to do counseling per se, but I could help you find resources or that kind of thing. Or I can listen. I can listen too. um, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I do appreciate you coming on and talking to us
Yeah.
today, and I appreciate you guys listening.
Well, yeah.
um,
Thank you for
if
inviting me.
if you guys want to speak to me about anything anonymously, I am not a counselor, but if if you guys want to go ahead, and if you have any questions or comments or anything, leave it in the comments for me. If you guys want to ask me anything anonymously, you guys can find me on Facebook under Jennifer Janelle, JINNERFER JINNELLE. If there is something that you want to come on this channel and talk about, if you have anything, it has to be positive, you guys. So, motivational, inspirational. I am promoting books, music, everything, you guys. So if you want to come on here and talk about yourself, about your great and wonderful life, anything to encourage other people, I encourage you to get in touch with me. Leave your information for me in my message me on Facebook, again under Jennifer Janelle. Or if you want to contact me in the comments, go ahead and do that. You can also find me on Instagram under Jennifer's Open Book, the same place you found me here. And again, I appreciate Angel coming out and sharing with us. And I'm going to leave you guys, like I said, those resources in the comments for anyone who needs them. That being said, we are done. So
Thank you.
take care of yourself. Take care of your mind, your bodies, your spirit. Take care of yourself, you guys. I love you. Bye. Okay.
Auntie, come here. What are you?